Hello, everyone. It's your favorite therapist. Just joking. I'm not a therapist. But today I wanted to talk about rehabilitation as I guess, societal thing that is done and a concept as well. And what can I say, guys? I have been, or I guess I should say, rehabilitation itself has been a part of my life since I was very young. I have cerebral palsy, I'm in a chair, my life has been spent pretty consistently in hospitals, and with doctors, nurses, and physical slash physiotherapist trying to rehabilitate me. And I've sort of covered this topic before around about 3 years ago, um on my video, um no one needs to fix you or something like that. And that's drawing from that video. I do feel like the um the prevailing thing that makes rehabilitation wrong in a lot of cases, that it does try to fix people, especially those with disabilities. Now, here's what I'm not saying, guys. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to improve your conditions. Of course you should. I'm not one of those, well, even suggesting stuff like exercise is ableist or stuff like that. No, you should try, of course. The problem is that, I don't know, especially in the US, rehabilitation medically try really takes on this like very eugenic sort of, like, yes, we need to turn you into the standard model human, right? If you don't do this and this in exactly this way, then you shouldn't be in society at all, especially with our carceral system. Uh, in the US, that is pretty much the way it is, right? Even though, we know that if you have a society which, with a more fair distribution of all sorts of resources, typically rates of recidivism are really low. Um, and you know, I feel that if we had things which we could realistically do if we dealt with our top 1% problem. uh where's Joseph Jukasvili, or Joseph Jukasvili, when you need him? I'm just joking, guys. I'm just joking, but um um yeah, it's not that rehabilitation is necessarily wrong. It just depends how you go about it. If you go about it in a human centered way, believing that people can change, and with the support of their community. And even though I'm personally not religious or anything, for a lot of people their religion, I know many people um that helped them a lot, because regardless of whether or not you believe, it does have a strong cultural impact in people wanting to change. and being the best version of themselves. And it does kind of get into the wider question of, just how much should we be rehabilitated, or just how much should a disabled person or a quote unquote criminal be rehabilitated, right? Like, with disability, you could argue that there's a cultural factor to it, right? I recently saw this short on my um home feed about, the, or maybe it was on Facebook, I can't remember anymore, but about, they actually, through gene therapy, they solved one particular case of of congenital deafness, like from birth. um and that's great for the people that want to hear, but the other thing is that, like, deaf and hearing impaired culture is a thing, guys. Like, I really admire the deaf and hearing impaired community, because through their expression of language and all of their um shared cultural institutions, they've been able to to build the largest, probably, subculture within the disabled community, and build up all of these resources, and, like, that goes hard, guys. And I do think that they should be a model for the rest of the community, but at the same time, guys, there's also such a thing, right, as, like, not trying, or being so stubborn about um your disabled identity, that it's like, you know you don't accept any help. Any help is is antithetical to who I am. I'm an individualist, and I kind of think that buys into the sort of American myth of complete self-reliance, right? The one that justified so many not nice things, especially against indigenous and black people, right? Like, that's, I mentioned that in my video on the American Transcendentalists, that while I thought they, had some good um takes on some things, and, like, generally speaking, no, I felt like, they kind of romanticize nature a little bit too much. And I'd say that as a romantic, or someone that considers themselves to be fairly romantic in the philosophical sense myself. But, like, guys, like, I mean, I work out. Um, I'm very into fitness for, considering the severity of my condition. I'm very into self improvement. I'm very into reading and intellectual pursuits and artistic pursuits and stuff like that. But, and of course, I know not everyone has access to that. That's okay. But to, like, I don't know, just swear off all forms of rehabilitation, because that's just the way I am. If you don't like it, then, well, you can get out, right? I don't think that that's the right way. I think we definitely need to strike in this particular case, as much as I don't particularly agree with like an Aristotelian slash golden mean view of this. I do think that is the case. Um, because you can want a strong disabled community with communal institutions, community care, um, apart from the mainstream able-bodied community, um, while still recognizing that there is such a thing as necessary rehabilitation. Um, Even if it's just to slightly improve your life more. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, and people are gonna maybe be shocked by this, but like, if I had the chance to cure my cerebral palsy, I don't think I would. Number one, because in this particular case, it really has become a part of who I am and part of my way of life. And number two, um, I don't think I would be able to handle the difference in treatment, in the sense that, I already know that subconsciously people treat me kind of like crap because of my physical disability for the things that matter. That's the key word. Because I'm not talking about uh like that person that, for example, if I'm walking in the store or wherever by myself, they're gonna come up to my chair and start pushing it even though it's electric. Sometimes I'm like, what? I know people don't know, but it's like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real integration, right? I was talking with one of my friends on Instagram about this, and it's like, yeah, bro, instead of like quote unquote pushing my chair without even asking me, why don't you help me like get friends, or like not be touch starved, or like, bigger systemic thing, like, you know what I mean? And I don't know if I can handle that. I really don't. Because it would be like it's one thing, as I've said many times here before, like to abstractly know that, yeah, people treat you differently, but once you see the differences, and I'm sure people that have, been especially physically or mentally disabled for a long time, um know some of what this is like, and then they stop being that, because remember that disability is is the only one of the only things that you can go in and out of alongside class throughout your entire life, even if it's, well, I wouldn't even say it's rare. Um but you know what I mean. There are some disabilities you can quote unquote be cured of, even though I don't like that language necessarily. Um and yeah, I actually like being disabled, and I do consider it part of human diversity, especially if the society that we live in is fairly accessible, like the one that I am so grateful to be living in the United States, despite its problems, which I've also extensively cataloged on this channel. Which, remember, we did that ourselves alongside a little help from our allies, but it was primarily us as a community. Um so yeah, I wouldn't choose to be any other way than I am. And as my shirt says, I've been wearing pretty applicable shirts recently. I promise it's not intentional, but this may have not been the life I ordered, but it is the life I got and the life that I'm happy to live now and the life that I've accepted, and that's perfectly okay. You just have to know and be critical about what type of rehabilitation you're getting into. All right, see you guys. Bye.